welcome to another tutorial with me. My name is Crafty JoJo, and today I want to show you how I made this little lantern. It's very cute and it has die cut elements on all four sides, and it has a removable lid, so it allows you, for example, to fill this with potpourri, and then you can actually place it somewhere in your room and have the lovely room scent dispersed by the potpourri through the die cuts. I'm just struggling to put this back on. And yeah, this lantern is really cute, and I'm going to show you how you're going to make it. What you will need is a piece of cardstock to make your template, because you will need to do four individual panels that are going to be die cut and then glued together. And this cardstock measures 9 inches by 4.5, and you would need to score on the long side at 2 3/4 and at 6 3/4. So on the long side at 2 3/4 and 6 3/4, and then on the short side, if you turn it like this, you are going, this is the short side, you're going to score at 4 inches, giving you this little section here that is going to be your flap to glue this panels together. The next thing you need to do is you need to nudge, and in order to nudge, I'm going to show you, wait a minute, let me just get my board in, because it's important how you place it. So you are, after you have scored, you are going to place it with the small section, the score line at 4 here, and the small section pointing to the right, and you are going to nudge the upper side at 1 1/4 and at 2 3/4, and then you turn this around and you are going to nudge the other side with this small section pointing to the left at 1 and at 4. And this is going to be your reference point for a bit of manual scoring. So, oops, sorry. So you will need your metal ruler, and you're going to connect this little nudge mark with this score line. So I have to pull this a bit towards me so I see what I'm doing, like so. And you're going to manually score, and basically you don't need to fold this, it's going to be your cutting line, so you could also use a pencil instead of a ruler. And you are going to connect this point with this on the opposite. So here we go. Okay, so this is the one end that has this score line here and this score line here, and now this nudge point goes to here and this goes to there. So you have to create your template like such. All right, here we go. 1 and 2. All right. So now that you have scored, this is all your scoring, and you now need to do a bit of cutting. But before you start cutting away, you also need to leave one flap. So this is going to be your first flap. I'm just going to show you this. So when you place this cardstock with all the score lines on it in front of you with the small section pointing upwards, you can get rid of this bit and you can get rid of this bit. So we're going to do this now. Try to cut as straight as possible, because this is going to be your template that you're going to lie on the other bits. So we're going to cut this like so, and this one you can actually wedge a bit, and this one you can wedge as well. So this is what you've got so far. So as I said, it was lying with the small section pointing up. You could get rid of this section and this section. You can completely get rid of this section as well. So we're going to take away this one here as well. We just lose that one. But for this one, you need to create a little flap that will work as a, so it doesn't matter, you don't need a measurement for it. It should be like roughly 1/4 inch. So I've just made myself a little score line here. It doesn't matter if it's a bit dodgy, because this is just a glue line. And then you can also wedge this slightly more. So this is your template that you need to create, and the template is upright like this. So this is going to be the bottom of your card, of your lantern, and this is the top part, and these are the flaps that will glue together. So you need to have 4 of these and glue them together to come to this shape. And this is the finished bit. So again, 9 inches by 4.5. You need to score on the long side at 2 3/4 and 6 3/4, and then on the short side you score at 4, and then you start nudging, as I told you, on these 2 ends to create these shapes. So I'm now going to use my template to cut 4 of my most sturdy designer paper or cardstock that I have to make my lantern, and then I'll come back to you and show you how I proceed with this. I'm back. I've already cut 3 bits. I've gone for this cardstock, which is a non-Stampin' Up product, but it's really sturdy and thick, so, and it is a bit shiny, and I just like it. The colors are gorgeous. So I've already done 3. So my 4th piece is again 9 by 4.5. I've done the score lines and I'm now cutting it. So this is the top of my lantern, so I have to be very precise here when cutting. And this is the bottom flap. It doesn't matter if it's not super precise, but I'll try my best. So this is what we're taking away. Creating this glue flap here. And then I come in very angled. And this is going to be a little flap, so I have to just freehand it really. And now I wedge this again a bit more. I still need to score manually on there, so I'm quickly going to tidy this up. Get rid of this. So here we go, because this needs folding. So we need to do this on all 4, but as you can see, this is the shape that we have now created from 4 pieces 9 by 4.5. So I'm quickly going to score this, and the next thing will be the die cutting of the embellishment in the center of each panel. In order to die cut the centers of my 4 panels, which are all, as you can see, if you use a pattern paper, make sure you before you cut it that the direction is similar on all 4. And I'm going to use the Eastern Beauty set with the coordinating dies, and I like this one, so I'm probably going to do it exactly like the first lantern, and I use these 3, but of course, oops, I nearly lost this little stamp. I've already lost this before, had to buy a new one. All right, so what you need to do is eyeball the middle. This is a finger, this is a finger. Okay, so this has to come over, finger, finger. This is roughly how I measure it, trying the fingers. And I'm going to adjust this on my magnetic plate and run it through my die cutting machine, my Big Shot. And I'll do exactly the same pattern on all 4. And then I'll come back to you. I'm back. And as you can see, I've die cut all 4 panels, and I've also already added double-sided sticky tape on the flaps, and I've decorated the centers of my embellishment here, my die cut with a rhinestone in a coordinating color, and I've die cut a circle from red mirror cardstock, and it's just a plain mirror cardstock. I buy these at Tesco's. I think they have silver, gold, green, blue and red in a pack for less than £2. And I've used these 2 circle dies, and they are 2 3/4 and 3 1/4. Just place them inside each other, run it through the die cutting machine, and this is the last one I still need to put in. So I'm quickly going to glue this. Bear with me. Just add the glue. Here we go. And then I'm going to aim for my piece of cardstock. All right, so the next thing we want to do is basically join the whole thing up. So I'm going to peel off this bit here and try to be as precise. I try to line up these lines here so that my little lantern doesn't go dodgy. Then give it a good rub. So that's the first part. And here we go with the second. Oops, that has moved slightly while I was doing it. And number 4. Here we go. I'll turn this over and give it a good rub as well. Just make sure it's really sitting flush, and then this might be the best option, and join these two up. So it's really important that you try to work as precise as possible when aligning this. Okay, so this is what you have got at this point, and this is the bottom that folds in like so. We don't glue this yet. Now before we are going to close the upper part here, the upper section, we need to put in the handle, because it will be much more difficult to put the handle in if it's already closed. So I'm quickly going to get what I need for that. Just a second. This is what I'm going to use. It's hobby wire green, and this is 30 centimeters long. That's 12 inches and by 1 millimeter, so relatively sturdy. And I'm going to use this. So what you need is this wire, and you can carefully round it with your finger to get it to a half oval shape, and then you're going to bend it at the each end roughly like so. Doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same length, just try to get something like this. Okay, the next thing you do is you need your pokey tool, and the pokey tool, you will make a hole. Make sure you use the right end, so it's the top end where you would need to find more or less the center. You can measure, but I'm going to just do it freehand. And you pop this in here, and I'll have to, just a second, put this down so you can see. So this is when it's poked through, this is what you have. So what you now need to do, and that's why it needs to, that's why it needs to be open, you are going to make a little loop like so, so it doesn't slide out. Okay, here we go. So this is the one side, and we're going to do exactly the same on the other side. So opposing sides, need to find the middle, which is, in my opinion, pretty much here. Make a hole, put your wire through, go to the inside, and make your loop. It's getting trickier, and that's why it needs to be still open. Okay, the loop basically just secures it in place so it doesn't so this is how you put your handle in. Okay, so at the minute we don't need to focus on the handle, we now need to focus on the bottom. So I'm quickly going to use some wet glue, or maybe a strip of double-sided sticky tape might be faster. Just like so and so, glue this shut. Make sure when you shut it that you really square it up so it's nice and square, and then I'll get back to you, show you how I finish this. But now the bottom is closed up nicely and squared up, and our embellishments are in place, the handle is in place. We're now going to close the top, and you can start at any section really, it doesn't matter. So you just want to make sure that you line it up very precisely and give it a good press down, and then you carry on to the next one, next section, and you do this until all 4 sides are closed, and then your lantern only needs a lid, and that's it, and you're done. I just love this little project. It's so easy to make and it's looking gorgeous with any cardstock really. Just line it up. This is the last one. So this is my lantern, almost finished. You could leave it open like this, but of course you can't put a candle in because it's made from paper, so a candle, unless it's an electric one, a candle would cause a problem. I just see that I'm not too happy with this, so I'm just quickly going to adjust this. Much better. So you just make sure that your handle is nice and rounded, like so. I quite like it like this. And we are now going to make the lid. As with the lid, you need to know this little part here needs to fit in. Depending on how precisely you have cut out, this opening might vary in size from my size. So what you need to do is you need to measure your own specific area here, like your opening, the width, and adjust. So this is exactly 1.5 inches, as you can see, 1.5 inches, and we're going to make it slightly smaller, 1/16 smaller than 1.5, and you are going to create a little square thing like this. And maybe you need to take your own measurements, but so you measure the length of your sides, the average length of your opening, and deduct 1/16 and make a little lid like this. I'm going to show you. Alright, so in my case I have added 1/4 inch to each side to be able to make the little frame. So I need to score this at 1/4 on all 4 sides, 1/4 inch and on all 4 sides, and then the inside will be 1/15/16 exact. Sorry, 1/7/16 exactly. So here's my scoreboard. Score at 1/4 on all 4 sides. Can you see this? Yes. And then we're just going to cut this like so, create the flaps. Bit fiddly because it's really tiny. And then, oops, there's still here we go. So this is the little square that you are going to fold on all 4 sides. You fold your score lines in like so and glue it together. That will be the base for your lid. That fits exactly in this gap, hopefully, if I haven't done any mistakes when measuring. It should be 1/7/16 of an inch in square. So I'm quickly going to glue this shut. So we need a bit of glue here and a bit of glue here, and because this is really fiddly, you can use tweezers to hold it in place. Just going to use this to glue it. So that's number 1, and this is number 2. this is how I do it. So this has created the little base that should fit in the opening of our lantern. So let me try this out, and it fits perfectly, so that's great. So the next thing is you use your outside cardstock to make the cover, and this one, where's my ruler, I made it 1/7/8 square, so I'm going to cut a piece from the remaining cardstock, which is here on the floor. 1/7/8 square, it says. Square. Alright, and what I'm doing before I glue this into place, because I don't like the white here to show, I'm going to find a ink pad that is hopefully like the rich raspberry might be dark enough. And what I do is I just pop, you see what I do, all four sides in to take the white away. And as you can see now, the edge is dark and I like it much more. It's optional, you don't have to do it, but I like it. Okay, so next thing to do, glue it together. So I put some glue on here. And then pop this on here, and this is eyeballing really. Try to, yeah, I think this eyeballs very well. Just give it a good rub, let it set, and this is your lid now, can't fall through, it fits. And what's left to do is the decoration. What I've done here is I've found 2 tassels and a matching ribbon, and these guardian angels, I buy these from AliExpress in China really. All I did was put them on a jewelry wire, you know, like when you make jewelry yourself. This is this wire and a few pearls, and I just created this little dangly bit. So I'm going to find myself a guardian angel that fits and 2 tassels, and I'll come back to you and show you how I did the rest. I have decided to go for this red tinsel trim that I still have, and the purple tassels, which I also still had in my stash, because that matches the color scheme beautifully, because we have purple and red in this paper. And this is my little guardian angel, and what I'm going to do is, you first need a pokey tool again, and you need to try and find the center roughly. So this is like eyeballing it, and I'm happy with this. So I make a hole, and we of course have to make it bigger. So you have to use various tools trying to poke through and make this hole bigger and bigger and bigger, because you need to push all this tinsel through. So this is going to be a challenge. Let's see if this is big enough, and because this tinsel trim is really thick, I might actually need to change my mind about it. You know what, I'm going to do this off camera, so because I'm not going to bore you with this, plus there might be some swearing occurring when I try to do this, so I'll do it off camera. So what you need to do is get all this through there so that it's from the inside, and then you can actually cover it up once you've glued it down and secured with hot glue. But I'm just going to do this off camera. I'm only going to present you with the finished result. Alright, so I've managed to put this through. So you would need to adjust the length of your trim so that you're happy with how deep they dangle or how high they dangle. So I'm quite happy with this, I think. And this is what it looks from inside, and this is of course a bit messy. So what we're going to do is we need a bit of the cardstock. Need a bit of the cardstock, as I said, and we use this is a 1-inch circle punch, just punch out a circle. Use your scissors to trim the excess away, like so. I've trimmed this down really well, and then I'm just going to use my hot glue gun. And it's a bit fiddly because you will need to do this in several layers, like just try to glue down your tinsel trim. If you use the tinsel, if you use a normal ribbon, that will be probably slightly easier, but this tinsel is relatively thick, so in order to achieve a good result, what's happening here? Nothing. I need to push this down like so, and then the plan is to cover this up with this circle, which is just so big enough. Yeah, that's fine, because it's from the inside anyway. So just a bit of hot glue and drop, and this will secure your tinsel trim. If you're not happy with this, you could, for a neater look, you could cut a bigger circle and glue that on top to cover this up. I might do that actually, just a second. So this is 1 1/4 inch of a circle, so I'll just put glue on here and drop this. Fits perfectly and gives a very tidy, neat look. And that's the lid of our little lantern finished. So there you go. Oops. Put one to that side. What's happening here? This is too heavy. Don't tell me that. Alright, I have a problem here. Bear with me. Alright, I fixed that. And this is the lantern finished. So as you can see, they look gorgeous in all these Oriental style papers, and you just lift your lid, put your potpourri in. You could also put in an electric tea light, and that's about it. So I hope you like this little tutorial, and I'm looking forward to your comments and your own makes. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Happy crafting. Bye.